6.
We're not allowed to sit near each other. Don't be close. Back off.
And
sit back. Stiff.
Unemotional.
Yeah.
Great.
Mean.
This is Star Wars Fan Sites Roundtable with Kyle and Denise. Let's let them in.
I feel like no.
Hello, everyone. Full house in here, so please keep your mics muted unless you're asking a question. That also includes while talent is answering the question. And first, we're going to kick it off with Brandon. You can take the first question.
Thank you so much. Hi, Brandon Waynerdy from Talking Bay 94. Kyle and Denise, I would love to delve in a little bit into both of these characters because they're obviously villains in Star Wars, but I don't think that they view themselves as the villains of their own story. How did you craft that character in your own mind as you went through it, and how did you really make sure that was coming across on screen?
Well, Tony crafted a pretty well-rounded, three-dimensional characters first off, and so that made it kind of easy to understand that, you know, we're not in a world of Star Wars where it's, you know, goodies and baddies. It's kind of a deeper exploration of, you know, the light and shade in everyone, and therefore it's holding a mirror up to anyone watching, you know. There but for the grace of whatever you believe in. Who knows, if you were in Dedra's situation, maybe you'd do exactly the same thing. I mean, who wouldn't torture a few people to get to where they need to get to? So yeah, I feel like Dedra thinks she's the hero of every story.
Yeah, and I certainly think Cyril believes he's the hero of his own journey. I remember speaking to Tony at the very beginning when he was fleshing out the arc of the character, and he was like, I don't really know where he ends up, you know? I mean, is he good? Is he bad? I don't know. And so I decided to take that kind of conflict, that gray area, which exists all throughout Andor and exists really in Cassian, actually, which was, you know, beautifully presented in Rogue One. It's a really human condition to question the entire time, is this the right thing I should be doing? And Cyril really comes from a place of lack and of hunger to strive and be recognized and to have power and station and some form of identity that he can find within this political structure of fascism, basically.
And that makes you like really ripe for that sort of that fascist thinking, doesn't it? Because it's so black and white. If you do this, you will have power.
Yeah.
If you get this guy, you
there
will
is no
have
gray.
Exactly. So for people who exist on both spectrums to move into that world where there is no gray, it's dangerous because their own shades are all taken out and you just become quite viciously
ruthless.
Ruthless, exactly.
Yeah.
And James, you can take the next question.
Wow, he was cut pretty quickly.
Thank you very much for taking time to talk to us. I wanted to know, bearing in mind that both of you are looking after the security, albeit in slightly different ways, and whether you were able to learn something from each other's characters.
Oh God, I think we found well, I can only speak for myself, but when I met Kyle's character, when I met Cyril as Dedra, I was like, oh, this makes total sense.
Yeah.
You know, we had this thing happen too, where in my fitting for my costume, I put the uniform on and I was like, yeah, it's great, of course, but I need it tailored and fitted and it needs to be really perfect. And the costume designer said, that's hilarious because that's what Cyril needed too. So it was really clear that they're both like super meticulous and tidy and clean and they want everything perfect. And that's why, you know, they sort of
they're like imperial twin flames. And
definitely.
They like totally find and see each other within the other.
Yeah.
And
it's like a love story. It's like an evil love story.
And I think, you know, from Cyril's perspective, he has an interesting journey where he starts out quite high and then he experiences a loss and he regains strength through finding Dedra. And so that's
and Dedra starts out the opposite. So I'm like at the bottom of the ladder, you know, and I'm faced with the kind of ineptitude of so many of the men that I'm working for and with. And then she slowly, through her own kind of determination and her kind of attention to detail, she rises up at the time when he's going down. So it's like
Mm.
they meet just in this perfect storm of like each of them needing each other at exactly the right time. Dedra is less sort of open to it initially, you know, she doesn't want to share this stuff with anyone, but then once it's really clear that he's useful,
Persuasively evil.
yeah. And then they live happily ever after. It's kind of simple.
And then either Charlotte or Caitlin from the Sky Talkers podcast, you can take the next question.
You're
Today?
muted. Oh, there we go.
Go ahead.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I'm Caitlin from Sky Talkers. So nice to meet you guys.
Okay.
Hi, Caitlin. She's
In
got a
Rogue
young
One,
guy in the background.
in Rogue One, we heard that rebellions are built on hope. What do you think the Empire is built on during this period?
Ooh, that's such a good question.
Wow.
Ambition.
Yeah.
No, that's not right, though. If a rebellion is built on hope, an empire is built on
It's the opposite of hope.
Yeah.
Fear and anger.
fear. Yeah.
Well, it's what Yoda says, isn't it? Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering.
Yeah. Like the empire is built on like resentment.
Yeah, power, domination, you know.
Yeah.
They're looking to spread their tentacles as far as they can. And that's the really interesting thing about developing this backstory of Cassian is you find that we're getting into a new area of Star Wars, into the outer reaches where there's not much Imperial influence. And then, spoiler alert, here they come.
Dun, 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 dun.
And Alex, you can take the next one.
Hi, this is Alex from Star Wars Explained. Thank you both for doing this morning.
Thanks, Alex.
Kyle. Hi. Kyle, I've been very interested and intrigued by your character and the group that he's part of. Can you shed some light on that organization, the people in the blue uniforms, and how did they connect with the Empire and Dedra's character?
Yeah, well, Dedra exists in an entirely different framework of the Imperial structure. And Cyril is at the beginning of Andor. He's on the outer reaches of the kind of Star Wars galaxy in a kind of overlooked star system. And it's very much a kind of corporate bureaucratic structure system. And he's part of the kind of law system that's kind of operating within that system. And have I said system enough already? Or I could say it one more
would
time.
like you to say it again.
Okay, I'll fill it in. And so as he's trying to rise through the ranks of that system, he winds up making some really huge mistakes by going behind the back of his superior officers, who are really quite lax and feel like, you know, the rebels aren't really anything to worry about. You know, this is just some kind of like little tiff, and we don't really want to cause any trouble with the Empire, the Imperial agencies coming in. So why don't you just like sit tight? And that's exactly what Cyril wants. He wants more order, more structure, more Imperial presence.
He's like a rebel within that system.
Yeah. In order to get himself to the place of the ISB, which is where Dedra exists. And that would be kind of like, you know, the SS of the kind of Star Wars universe, which is like very selective, very intense.
Yeah, hugely. Very tidy.
Yeah, very tidy, very clean.
Very clean, very
yeah.
tidy.
And then either Gustavo or Mariana with Triad of the Force. You can take the next question.
Hi, Kyle. Hi, Denise, Gustavo, and Mariana from Triad of the Force. How's it going?
Gustavo.
Thank you so much for joining us. Really looking forward to your performances in Andor. Our question is tied more into like real world. So we've talked a lot about moral ambiguity, like in all of the heroes that we've seen, especially after Rogue One, and seeing, you know, Cassian and some of the dark things that he's done for the rebellion and all that good stuff, right? That's supposed to come out of it. But our question is about how the moral ambiguity also comes in from that dark side and the Imperial side, and how that ties into the response in real world politics that we've seen, because we've seen that this show specifically is tied to what's happening in the current state of politics without naming anything, right? So how has the real world kind of influenced how your portrayal in moral ambiguity as villains or antagonists in the show has led to your performance?
It's funny because George Lucas said that all the Star Wars, especially in the early days, it was all political. It's always political. Even works of fiction can reflect back what's happening societally. And I think the more I think about certainly Dedra and the position that she's in, this sort of addiction to power and a certain level of fame and what that can do to a soul, you know? So a person who starts out with all of these talents, because there's no doubt that these people that we're playing are incredibly talented and intelligent, and if put to use in something more wholesome, they probably do really well, but they exist within this, you know, fascist regime. So they apply their talents and their sort of addictions to needing to be seen within this structure. And certainly Dedra, as a woman in this man's world, you know, she wants to rise to the top of that structure. So unfortunately, they make these sort of poisonous decisions, but they come from a place of, you know, first of all, from a place of lack. So they're looking for their identities, I guess. And I think that that is happening in our current climate and has happened throughout history. It's just now in our current climate, we have, you know, social media and the ability to get seen and heard in ways that maybe we didn't when the very first Star Wars happened. But yeah, we're moving through the times, aren't we? And this is a very human exploration, a work of fiction for sure, but you know, it's going to resonate in many ways.
It's no surprise that it's resonated for almost 50 years, right? Because it's dealing with us and them, the people that have, the people that don't, the people that are in power, the people that have less power, and those that exist on the outer edges. Cassian, you know, all of the characters that Tony has developed within Andor are all, in a way, outsiders trying to find their place, trying to become part of something, of a movement, of a cause. And
they're staging their own rebellions within the things, right?
Exactly.
So we're in like the structure of the ISB and the Empire, but within that we're rebelling. I'm rebelling against the idea that, you know, someone like Cassian Andor is to be ignored. So she's staging a rebellion within the Empire structure, and so is Cyril for sure. So there's like mini rebellions going on within the big rebellion that you think is just about good and evil. It's like, yeah, but within that there's all these colors too. And I think that's what makes kind of long form episodic shows like this that are able to explore all of that so interesting and so exciting, certainly to work on anyway.
And then Sarah or Richard with Skywalking Through Neverland. You can take the next question.
Bright suns, you two.
Whoa, hello.
Hey,
Hi.
we are Richard.
There's so much going on here. That's C-3PO in the background.
Well
my
done.
God, that's Yoda.
It's like a Where's Waldo?
Oh, Jesus.
It's
I'm going to
amazing.
be in there. Next year, there's going to be a Dedra in there somewhere.
Oh, maybe there already is.
System.
We are from the Skywalking Through Neverland system. Got to get that one worked in there.
Yeah, good.
After just seeing the first 4 episodes, your characters are so well defined. Did you model your characters after either someone in the Star Wars universe or in history or from another film?
No, I think we both just took what was on the page, and we had really good connection with Tony Gilroy, who, you know, came up with the first few scripts and then had the arcs for our character, and we really fleshed it out with him. And I think, you know, if you know about Star Wars, if you've ever seen it, you know, the ghosts of those other characters probably always live within the walls of the sets and everything and in the pages. But what Tony really created was something new and fresh, and these really conflicted villains who, you know, are existing in a gray area trying to find their way. And so I think they were totally unique.
But Gus Fring from Breaking Bad is always like my favorite. I don't know, there's just something about his meticulousness and his sort of complete detachment, and yet his ability to kind of perform in the real world. Like you see him in, the chicken place and talking to normal people, and then you see him go and prepare to murder someone. And so there was something very satisfying about a character like Gus Fring for me as Dedra.
He definitely fit into our squad.
I definitely think so. So I think I don't base Dedra on him, but he's in the tribe of villains that, for sure, that's somebody we would invite in to our home that we live in together now in, Disney villain world.
Yeah. And Ben Mendelsohn in Rogue One.
Yeah, he's got to come.
Always.
Dead. There, everyone's dead. Sorry, guys. Disney are brutal.
And Dan, you can take the next one.
Thanks so much. In both of your performances, how do you balance the science fiction of the Star Wars universe with the tone and realism of Andor?
Well, Tony Gilroy did that really. Like we've both spoken at length about how when I read these, certainly the initial 3 scripts that I was sent, and Dedra wasn't in any of them. All I was reading was like a new piece of writing, like a thriller, spy, love story, rebellion story that then happens to be in the Star Wars universe. I certainly didn't read it from, and I worried about before I agreed to do or to kind of pursue the role. I wanted to read the script so that I would be able to relate, because I'm a theater actress, and who mostly any screen work I do is all very emotional, very human, very based in the real world. And I thought maybe I'm not cut out for the world of Star Wars. And then I got sent these scripts and I was like, oh, this is not a space show. This is like a human show that happens to be in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, and I think that's unbelievably clever what Tony accomplished, because he's going to give diehard fans exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah.
But he's also going to probably bring in a whole group of people who haven't been Star Wars fans because they can connect with this socio-political human drama story that is also a thriller and a spy thing.
Sure.
And it's something that,
I mean, I'll watch it. I've never watched Star Wars, but I'll watch this.
If you can get her, you're doing something right.
Total Star Wars Luddites.
And Keith, you can take the next question.
So, hi, I'm Keith Yard from Father Son Galaxy, a Star Wars podcast.
What's up, Keith?
So,
oh my God, Keith, hello.
Hey.
Hello. Hi. Me.
Sorry, I'm really excited to meet you, Keith. You're the youngest person we've had. Yeah, because you're the youngest person we've had. And we've been saying through this whole junket, we've been saying the thing that we love about being in Star Wars is that a really young person can speak to a really old person
about
like
the same
older
thing.
than us, but about the same thing and be as excited. And now you're proving our point.
Yes.
Oh my God, this is so exciting. Okay, ask us anything. We will give you every spoiler.
Give you all the answers.
We will tell you everything.
Well, actually, I don't have a spoiler-related question. I wanted to ask, where were your scenes as Dedra Zero filmed, and why is shooting on location so important to the storytelling?
Wow, what a great question.
Oh my God. So we shot in Pinewood Studios in London, and Dedra, because it's quite, it's mostly in the ISB. So it was in a studio, but obviously built. And then I had one day where I shot in this village, this town that was built by the art department and the design department that was so it made it so beautiful to act in, because you didn't have to pretend. Like, I thought that the whole thing was going to be green screen, and then I would be pretending to talk to people, and instead we had this whole playground to play in. Like, it was, for me, it's not that it has to be that way, but I do think that it's better for actors to work on the real thing,
Yeah, absolutely. And it also it pays homage to the original films, and they were building all those sets, they didn't have a lot of CGI. And we were afforded that because of when we were filming it during the pandemic. And it gives it an extra level of authenticity and makes you feel like you're really there.
Yeah.
And all the drawers have stuff in it, and
Yeah.
all the cupboards have things in it. And
Yeah,
like
there was like a sushi bar well, it seemed like a sushi bar, but in space, and like all these bowls of food. And I thought, well, there won't be anything in them. And then I went over and there was like blue noodles and like little insects that it was just, yeah, you would have really liked
it's
it.
the
I
most
reckon.
incredible thing. Yeah.
Yeah, kids should be allowed to go and like play on that after we're done.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm actually 10. My 11th birthday soon.
Wow,
Oh,
awesome.
Happy 11th birthday.
Good for you. Happy birthday,
Brilliant
man.
Person. I want to take a picture. Are we allowed to take a picture? No.
All right. So let's cut. That is all the time we have for today. Journalists, I will save you